This is Paul Colligan from paulcolligan.com. You're listening to the MasonWorld Late Night Internet Marketing Podcast. Enjoy.
Episode 29.
You can do it right when it's late at night. At the end of the day, your dreams burning inside. So keep it up and you will find that you're building your business one night at a time.
You're listening to the MasonWorld.com Late Night Internet Marketing Podcast with your host, Mark Mason, building internet businesses one night at a time.
Hey, it's Mark Mason. It's back on the mic with episode 29. How's everybody doing? It's 1 in the morning in Dallas, Texas, and we're feeling fine. All right. Hey, I've got a really great show for you today. It's simple. It's straightforward. Well, actually, it's neither, because it's Michelle MacPhearson. I've got Michelle MacPhearson here. For those of you that follow Michelle, I know you're very excited because she is totally awesome. This woman rocks internet marketing. She has so much to offer because she's got a great personality. She's fun to talk to. She's been doing internet marketing since 2005. She's done black hat, gray hat, white hat. She's got it all. She's got cool products. And she's here with us today. And so what I asked Michelle to do was talk a little bit about her journey in internet marketing, about her experience creating thousands of spammy sites back in 2006, about her product 30-minute backlinks, which she's completely retooled. It's a product that I've purchased personally, and I like it because what that product does is it sets out a daily 30-minute backlink building activity for you every day for 365 days. That's very cool. If you're interested in supporting the show and taking a look at that product, you can get that at masonworld.com/30minute. That's 30-minute. masonworld.com/30minute. Check that product out. It's pretty cool. No need to go through my affiliate link unless you want to, but that's where it is, masonworld.com/30minute. But when you hear us talk about that product, that's kind of an interesting one that I recommend. It's affordable. And if you're having trouble figuring out how to build backlinks, that's certainly a product you want to take a look at. So without further ado, let's get into it. And here she is. She's Michelle MacPhearson from ideatoempire.com. Okay, so I am really excited to be up late at night once again. It's after midnight in Dallas, Texas, and on the phone I have someone for whom it's not quite so late, coming from the beautiful hillside cow country of Petaluma, California. I have Michelle MacPhearson on the phone. Michelle, how are you?
I'm doing good tonight, and I'm thrilled to be here, thrilled to be a part of this. How are you doing, Mark?
I'm absolutely fantastic, but don't let that concern you because I'm getting better.
All right, good to hear.
I've been wanting to talk to you for a long time. You know, I've been following you for years and years and years and years. I think you got started probably around 2005. I got started in 2007. And immediately ran across one of your very early products, which was 30-minute backlinks at that time, which has been totally redone. I hope we get to talk about that a little bit tonight.
Sure thing.
And but then, of course, I feel like I know you because I have heard you talk with Ed and Lynn and Paul on Internet Marketing This Year, the yearly podcast. Oh, I'm sorry. It's weekly, right? Weekly or yearly?
Decades.
The decade.
Maybe?
Internet Marketing This Decade. Yeah. So, I mean, that was one of my favorite shows for a long time when you guys were putting it out. And so it's really great to have you on. And I really appreciate you being here.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for all those kind words, too.
So, you know, you and I have talked previously, and I've got a bunch of listeners who are sort of normal people trying to figure out a way to make their world better by making money on the internet. A lot of them are affiliate marketers. A lot of what I talk about on this show is affiliate marketing. We have a lot of info product creators and people that are trying to establish a brand online. They're looking to do market leadership, which is something you're an expert in. And I was wondering if maybe you could recap your very interesting online story, you know, starting back in 2005 and kind of get people caught up with really who you are and the kind of things that you've been doing in the last heck, it's almost creeping up on 10 years online.
Yeah, no problem. So I'll tell a little bit of my story. And when narcissism kicks in and I'm either praising myself too much or I've just gone on for too long, feel free to stop me. But the way that I was introduced to internet marketing or any kind of online promotion stuff was actually through forums, people talking about stuff. And I was like, oh, that sounds really interesting. And the route that I kind of took, just the people that whose information I was attracted to, was a black hat route. So it was like cloaking back then. And it was, building thousands of basically scraped, crappy, terrible sites, putting AdSense on them, and then using whatever bare minimum tactics one could use at the time to get traffic to them. So I that's where I come from, and I think that it's nothing that I'm ashamed of or anything. There's no internet police. I'm not breaking any laws, and I wasn't. And I think that given now, having been doing this for 7 years or so, it's given me a lot of perspective, having kind of been on the dark side. I know a little bit about how that side of the business works. And I also know how the, I guess, quote, white hat side of the business works. And I understand how the search engines react to both ways of doing things. And, I'm really happy about where I got started. But so we started with, like I said, those massive sites, farms of sites, and cloaking and stuff like that. And then there was, I believe it was like the very beginning of 2006, there was a big Google shakeup, and a bunch of folks got their sites delisted, and all kinds of stuff happened. And it was like, oh my God, SEO changes. And because I'd only been in the business for, like 8 months, I didn't even know that kind of stuff could happen. And what that actually led me to, through a series of just sort of happy accidents, and also just me being the kind of person who's always keeping my eyes open for new opportunities, was to start looking at using social media as a way to generate traffic. And so from that, I got involved with a lot of MySpace marketing and that kind of stuff, sold a software associated with that. And then I started looking at, hey, there's this whole thing called, quote, social media that doesn't just encompass MySpace, but encompasses all sorts of sites that were coming out at that time. Because again, we're still in 2006.
Right.
And it was like, wow, if I can pull traffic from this MySpace site, maybe I can pull traffic from these other kinds of sites. And one of those sites, or one of those kinds of sites that I looked at, because it wasn't purely social media, it was just about, hey, where else can I either put my links up to get traffic or actually produce content and get traffic that way. And one of those types of sites was software directories, which is what then the original incarnation of 30-minute backlinks was built upon. It was the idea of creating software and submitting it to these software directories for free, and then the software directories would list the software and link back to you.
And
so that's where that came from.
This was quick and dirty, kind of spammy software, like you would create, that was like pass through web browser stuff and that sort of thing, or this is real value added software?
People can do whatever. Well, this is my honest thought about that is that, it's as spammy as you want it to be.
Right. Just like everything else. Sure.
Yeah, exactly. Am I telling people to make spammy blogs or good blogs nowadays? I'm telling you to put up what's going to work for you in your marketplace. I don't know what your marketplace is, so I can't tell you that a 5,000 word article is better than a 500 word article, because if you're, doing a shoe blog, then you're not going to need 5,000 words on shoes. You know what I'm saying? So, I think, at the time, I was absolutely not as cognizant of the idea that it didn't matter as much, to tell the truth, whether something was high quality or not. I mean, that was hardly even something that people spoke about. So for those people who had those values, that they really wanted to do something that mattered in their marketplace, then they could use that to do that. And for those people who just wanted to get a link and put out crappy stuff, they could do that too.
I see. So, okay. So sorry to derail you there. So
That's
So
okay.
you came out with a 30-minute backlinks. The genesis of that was from this getting backlinks from software distribution sites, and so from there you went where?
From there, I was also doing the MySpace stuff, and it was I kind of I talked a lot about various ways that one could generate links, and I talked a lot about various ways that one could use social media to get traffic. And so I guess from those origins, that kind of became my expertise because it was what I enjoyed doing, and also because that was what I spoke to people about most often. So, oh, okay, well, let's talk to her about that because that's what she talks about. So, from there, like I said, do I teach people right now that they need to have, 500 words per article or 5,000 words per article or whatever the case may be? Neither. I leave that up to the individual, but absolutely I do emphasize that, gosh, you do need good quality stuff these days. So what worked in 2006 with that 30-minute backlinks product to get out links, actually it would still work now, but as far as you would still be able to get links, Google's going to devalue those links. And also, some of those software directories wouldn't accept your software anymore because it's crappy, period.
Right, sure.
So because of the ways that not just with that, but that the internet as a whole has changed in the last 6 years, quality is so much more important than it used to be. And that's something that that's a philosophy that I'm moving forward with in my own business in terms of the kinds of sites that I'm involving myself with. And it's the kind of stuff that when I talk to people like you and your audience and stuff that, I do talk about that more than I used to. And it is more important than it used to be. Now,
it's also true. I've for people who haven't read your stuff, they should go to your blog because you're a really good writer. And isn't it true that that's your background? Don't you have some super galactic collegiate training in writing things?
No.
Really? I thought I knew that about you. So I really...
I mean, I did. I wanted to be a journalist, and I started going to school for that, but I quit because I found internet marketing, and gosh, you can make a lot more money doing internet marketing than you can, writing obituaries.
Well, there you go. Well,
so that's where it comes from.
Yeah, you found your voice because your articles are really good. I really enjoy your blog, and I really like the way, I guess you've rebranded now, and you're hanging out. What's the URL over there where you're publishing your internet marketing content?
It's at FromIdeaToEmpire.com.
And so the idea for that is pretty explanatory from the URL, but can you talk a little bit about that, about sort of what the idea for that property is?
Yeah, and a lot of that, why I rebranded, it used to be my name, MichelleMacPhearson.com, and so now it's just FromIdeaToEmpire.com. A lot of that had to do with exactly what we were just talking about in terms of the idea that quality, that having good content, that having something that makes a difference in your marketplace matters so much more than it used to in terms of your ranking. I'm not by any means saying that having something decent to offer your market didn't matter 5 years ago. I'm saying that it didn't matter as much in the search engines, period. It does now matter a lot more. And I guess in some ways, I was maybe a little bit, I guess, like jaded. Like, if you're going to make it to the top of the search engines, and again, we're talking 2005, with really, really bad sites, bad content, then why would I sink all of my time and all of my effort into something that was going to be such a high quality thing if nobody would ever see it because all of the spammy people were going to outrank you? And I realized that that's a super fatalistic way of looking at things. But I was also 25, so.
I understand, sure. And part of it is about a focus on making money versus a focus on exchanging value for money, right? And now you're a lot more about, at least, you're talking a lot more about this creating value and market to message match and stuff like that. And to me, that's what Idea to Empire is all about. That sort of, value creation process.
Yeah, and it's also one of the things that I wanted to do when I started my own site was to be able to take this idea that I had and build an empire on it. Literally. And I want other people to be able to have that opportunity too, because there are so many people out there with amazing ideas or amazing talents or amazing things that they make. Like I'm constantly amazed by the work that people are doing at places like Society6 and at places like Etsy, but their marketing is terrible because they're artists or whatever. But there's so many people out there with amazing stuff that they have to bring to the world. And I would love to see more people take this quality content that they have, that they create because they love it, and create, an empire out of it.
So when people approach you and they're either they've got passions that they want to follow, or they just are looking for a lifestyle like internet marketing and they're trying to get started, I know you've got a lot of experience with sort of new internet marketers through your work at Crowd Mountain. So tell me, what do you tell new people? I mean, if you were going to give new people, and certainly there are a lot of those sort of new internet marketers listening to this show, if you were going to give new internet marketers advice, what kind of advice do you typically give?
One of the things that I say to people is that whatever it is that you're creating, whether that's something that you've put on Twitter or a Facebook post or, a blog post or a PDF that you're giving away for free download, it needs to be something that you would be proud enough to show to your mom. And I call it the mom test. If you showed this to your mom, would she be like, oh, wow, that's neat? Or would she look at it and go, okay, hon?
Right.
You've got to be doing stuff that would make your mom proud, not because I'm so concerned about your interfamilial relationships, but because social signals are so important now in the search engines and just for getting traffic, that if your content is not good enough that people would willingly and voluntarily share it with other people, you're going to have a really, really, really tough time getting traffic from the search engines.
Right. And just for the record, my mom is awesome and we have a great relationship. I just want to clear that up.
Good to know.
So again, it goes back to this core idea of value. And so even your mom should be able to look at your work and judge that it has good value.
Yeah, I think, if we're writing an article about, how to fit shoe inserts, for example, are you bringing something new or at least something interesting to it? Or is this one of those articles that somebody could write with their eyes shut that, is basically just regurgitating the same basic information over and over again? That's not what you want to be publishing. You don't want to be publishing the same stuff that people could find anywhere else. You need to have a voice to it. I think voice is really important too. I think that when you're building a site, no matter what it's about, that there needs to be a voice behind that. It doesn't necessarily need to be tied to a person, but that for that content, again, to be shareable, to be interesting to the people reading it, there's got to be some kind of personality behind it, whether that's, an angry person or a happy person or a airheady person or whatever the case may be. You need to have some flair, some personality in what you're putting out there to stand out. I think that's super important.
Or a slightly irreverent person like Michelle MacPhearson, maybe?
Maybe, yeah.
Excellent. So right now, I know that you've got multiple projects going on, and you've retooled 30-minute backlinks, and I thought maybe given this audience, it might be interesting to talk a little bit about that product and talk about sort of that in the context of Penguin and possibly even Panda. So what kind of advice are you giving people about traffic and backlinks? And are backlink techniques like you talk about in the 30-minute backlinks product, are those still relevant and working? Or, I know you've done a lot of experiments. Maybe you could just give some insight about the kind of thinking you've been doing over the last 6 months about SEO and backlink building and so forth, and and talk about that in the context of this 30 minutes backlinks product.
Sure. So like we talked about earlier, the original product was based around submitting software to software directories, and then they would link to you and you would get backlinks from that. That would still technically work. However, Google has devalued some of those backlinks. And it also, one of the things that always kind of bummed me out about that product was that people, and I did not sell it this way, and I even said on the sales page that you should not only use this and this only to get your links. Any good backlinking strategy needs to have backlinks from various sources. So that one might be social media and blogs and software directories if this was a few years ago. Unfortunately, some people would just buy a product, and not just mine, but anybody's, and then use that one thing, and then either wouldn't get the results that they wanted, or maybe they would get results, but it still just doesn't really create a very good backlink profile for them. So it always kind of made me nervous for people. And I'd done a bunch of tests and stuff and actually ranked sites with just that alone. But again, on principle, that's not the way that it should be done, where you're only building one kind of link. So that kind of always bothered me that people used it that way. And then, we had these panda changes, and then these penguin changes. And, I wanted to do something different with that product. I really liked the product name and I really liked the domain name. And so I wanted to keep that. So I completely retooled it. And what it focuses on now, and what I focus on, and what I hope that everybody listening to this focuses on going forward, is getting links from natural, organic, social media type of sources. So we're not necessarily only talking places like Twitter or Facebook. We're also talking about, social bookmarking sites, or places like, for example, the big one that everybody knows is Squidoo, where you can put your own little page up on their authority domain. And when you take a strategy like that, where you're pulling in links from many different sources, and of course, those few that I mentioned, I'm sure you guys all know about. So if you haven't yet, go get links from those places. But once you're pulling in links from all of these different kinds of sources, you're starting to present a more natural backlink profile in the eyes of Google. It's going to mix up your anchor text, which is something that Penguin has a big problem with if you've over-optimized your anchor text. And it's also going to get you a lot of different links from a lot of different kinds of sites, which is important to Penguin as well. So the product itself was retooled to help people get links from all kinds of different places like that. And that's exactly what I'm doing with my own link building, is getting links from all kinds of places. So let me tell you about one of the test results that I actually just got in 2 days ago, and I haven't told anybody yet.
Oh, wow. It's breaking news here at MasonWorld.com.
Okay, so I don't know, I'm a total SEO nerd or whatever. So I don't know how much your audience knows about this kind of stuff, but social media sites and getting links from them can help your site rank. So for example, what was discovered, somebody tested it maybe 6 months ago. If a whole bunch of people retweet, or just tweet and retweet a link, can the page that tweet links to, can that page rank? And they discovered, yes, it can. If a whole bunch of people retweet something and it goes through Twitter like wildfire, but doesn't have links from anywhere else on the internet, right? It's only getting linked to from Twitter, but it's a large volume of people are linking to it. It can rank. Now, what's interesting is that the text of the tweet then acts as an anchor text. So you can have, all my examples during this have been about shoes, because I swear to you, I've got a Pinterest page open in front of me and there's shoes on it. But if you've got a page with Chanel riding boots, this is what's on my Pinterest screen right now, and you've got a picture or whatever you have on it on your blog, and then a whole bunch of people retweet that link to your blog with the anchor text, with the text in the tweet of Chanel riding boots, you will be ranking for Google will be looking at you as a relevant page for the key phrase Chanel riding boots, and depending on the competition for any key phrase, you may actually end up ranking in a high position for that. So am I making sense on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so the test that I just completed was doing the same exact thing, but with Pinterest.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So right now, the caption on your Pinterest pin acts as if it were anchor text. And then you have your image, of course, because that's what Pinterest is it's image-based. And then your image links to your site. So there's no actual anchor text on Pinterest, but the caption ends up being what you rank for if you get a whole bunch of repins to something that links to your site.
Wow. And so you can definitely see a signal from that.
Yeah, I've actually made 2 pages that were penalized in Penguin re-rank by having some viral Pinterest activity with them, and then I've had pages on a brand new site that hadn't been affected by any kind of ranking issues or search engine mix-ups or whatever actually rank because of Pinterest pins.
Now, do you have gray hat secrets for getting viral Pinterest activity, or are you just doing something like phoning up 700 of your closest friends and asking them to repin your anchor?
For the purposes of this testing, we were using Fiverr to get extra Pinterest pins.
Yeah, Fiverr is quite an amazing place for this sort of thing. I mean, you can. I've used it for these kind of tests as well, and it for all social media. That's a really good tip for people to use carefully. You can get links of uncontrolled quality from all social media things, and that's the problem. You don't really know what's going on behind the scenes, but for these kind of tests, it's perfect.
Yeah, and just a tip on that as well, if you're going to go that route and you want to keep your Pinterest account, because I really like Pinterest, so I didn't want to lose my account, I had the repins occur on a different account.
Yeah, absolutely. Because Pinterest is having to start to pay attention to that stuff. I'm starting to hear stories, and that's the price of success, I guess.
Yeah, and oh my gosh, let me say this too, because I basically just said like, oh, go spam Pinterest and you'll rank in Google. Number one, that's like super short-lived thinking. I think that it's super interesting that Google's looking at social signals that much. I think that it's super important, like I said, that you have high enough quality content so that people will pin and repin the things that you're putting up, or that people will tweet them, or that people will Google +1 them or Facebook like them. All of those are things that Google is looking at. The most natural profile that you can get, and the one that will last, is going to be the one that has a various mix of people pinning and liking and tweeting your stuff, again, naturally. It's going to be super easy for Google to look and be like, oh, okay, 700 dummy accounts pinned, this one thing. So that right now may be a small loophole. That's not a lasting strategy.
Yeah,
the strategy is that we need to be thinking about social as a signal for our long-term ranking.
Yeah, I guarantee you there's a team of 17 PhD eggheads trying to figure out how to decode the Pinterest signal right now.
Right?
They've got a pepperoni pizza and they're crammed in a conference room and all sweaty and everything trying to figure it out. I mean, I guarantee you that is happening at Google right at this very moment.
Mm-hmm. And that's, you need to think too about, is the site that you're working with going to be a match for what you're trying to market? So I've seen people trying to spam Pinterest with some stuff that's really just, it's never going to do well on Pinterest. Let's say it's, I don't know. A lot of it's like internet marketing, make money at home kind of stuff. That's never going to go viral on Pinterest. That's not what people are there for. So we also shouldn't be focusing on getting links or social signals from sites where that just simply isn't going to happen. It doesn't mean that site's a bad site. It just means that it isn't a match for your marketplace.
But a picture of some hot Chanel riding boots, now that could go viral.
It very well could, yep.
Okay, well, let me ask you, I don't want to keep you on the phone all night because we've already been going for a while here, but, having been around the block, if you could do it all over again, it's 2005. What's the one thing that you wish you'd known back in 2005 that's so obvious to you now that you want to communicate to new internet marketers and, people who are early in their internet marketing journey? What's kind of the thing that you think would sort of the helpful sage advice that you'd like to offer my audience?
I think that a lot of people don't necessarily see the value in one site or another site or this technique or that technique because they just don't like it. So, for example, right now, not to beat the Pinterest horse or anything, but, we've got a lot of people who are like, well, Pinterest is dumb. It's just chicks posting pictures of, Chanel riding boots. And that's super, super, super short-sighted of them. I had a bunch of people in the internet marketing world who weren't interested in MySpace when MySpace first came out. And that became one of the biggest things in terms of not just that, like, oh, you could make a sale for something on MySpace, but it really changed the landscape of what social media was. I mean, the word social media didn't exist at that time. And I think that you need to instead of thinking about how smart am I and how can I figure out what I should be focusing on and what I shouldn't be focusing on, instead think about, gosh, where's my audience?
Yeah, exactly.
And it doesn't matter whether you like a certain thing or not, whether that be MySpace or Pinterest or having a blog. That's another one that blogs are dumb. It doesn't matter what you think. It matters what the people that you're trying to target, where are they? What are they doing? What would make your brand or your site or your personality seem more relatable to your audience? Whether you like it or not is irrelevant, but where are your people?
And again, it goes back to adding value. If you're going to add value, you have to deliver it. And in order to do that, you've got to go to where you've got to deliver the pizza to the address where the people are hungry, right?
Yeah, otherwise they'll never find their pizza and then they'll be hungry.
Yeah, everything in the world can be solved by pizza, I think.
Oh my gosh, you're making me hungry.
Yeah, me too. And that's very dangerous this late at night. Well, thank you so much. Michelle, I really appreciate your time. I know you're busy. I know you have a secret, unannounced new project coming out that I guess we won't talk about tonight, but I'm excited to see what that is. So I'm going to let you get back to work on that. But tell me again where everyone can find you, because I'm going to strongly recommend that they follow you everywhere, because you've got attitude and game, and I really enjoy following you on a day-to-day basis, and I think my listeners would enjoy it as well.
Thank you. I'm at FromIdeaToEmpire.com, and on Twitter I am at Michelle M. So if you find me in either of those places, you can find me in all the other places where I hang out.
All right, that's excellent. Well, thank you very much, and I hope you have a fantastic evening.
All right, you too. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Building your business one night at a time.
All right, well, that wraps it up for this week for the MasonWorld Late Night Internet Marketing Podcast. Thanks so much to Michelle MacPhearson for being on the show. If you want to check out that 30-minute backlinks product, that's at masonworld.com/30minute, 30-minute. If you want to support the show, that's a great way to do it. Otherwise, head on over to iTunes and give us a review over there. We'd love that.
Thank you for listening to the MasonWorld Late Night Internet Marketing Podcast. Got some thoughts about today's episode? Drop Mark a line at masonworld.com or call his digital feedback line at 214-444-8655. Most of all,
You've been
have an
working
awesome
for
day.
somebody else, but you want a business to run yourself. You want to know how to start and where to begin. Can you get out your comfort zone, my friend? Yes, you can do it right when it's late at night. At the end of the day, your dreams burning inside. So keep it up and you will find that you're building your business one night at a time.
You thought I forgot this time, didn't you? So, we've got a new segment coming out on the next show. It's called Internet Marketing Fortune Cookie. So, wait for that next week on the MasonWorld Late Night Internet Marketing Podcast.